do you like, Tron and stuff? Because if you like Tron and stuff, Astro Bears is a lot like Tron and stuff. So it's a party game, and we're going to be playing competitive mode. Going to be playing competitive mode with my brother. We have to pick a set of 3 bears, and we have to win with all 3 bears against the other player in order to win competitive mode. They all have different stats, but the most important thing to remember is that Cybear can take 2 hits. All of his other stats are ass, but Cybear can take 2 hits. And there are a number of settings, one of which is Infinite Ribbon, which is the trail we leave behind. And if you're on Infinite Ribbon, then if you're good enough at dodging the ribbon, you can just outlast the other player as Cybear. Because Cybear takes 2 hits, and you can only take 1 if you're not playing as Cybear, so... if you're even remotely better at dodging the ribbons than the other player, Cybear just guarantees your victory. So you have a brief dash you can use, which refills, and you can use your jetpack, or just tap the jetpack button to hop. If you run into the other player's ribbon, you die, or if you run into your own ribbon, which I'm sure I'll do more than once, you play to a certain number of points, and then the game is over. Well, the round is over at least. The game continues, you just pick a different bear. Just so you know who's losing, I am player 1, and I'm the one losing horribly. I'm good at some party games, this is not one of them. I'm just absolutely terrible at Astro Bears, but that's why I have my brother, so that way he can play the game and be good at it when I'm not. I think this game is like $7 on the eShop right now. I won't deny there's fun in swerving around and through the ribbons. Kind of reminds me of driving games a bit. And this may sound weird, but I'd much prefer a single-player experience like this, similar to Snake, where your ribbon gets longer each time you pick something up and you have to avoid running through your own ribbon. Making it competitive makes sense, like that's a much easier sell, but even still, for my very personal tastes, which I will say are not objective in any way, shape, or form, for my personal tastes, I would have preferred a more robust single-player option. Maybe a campaign mode. That one was a joke. I don't actually expect anyone to turn this into a campaign mode of any sort. That would be interesting to see, though, wouldn't it? A campaign mode for a game like this. I wonder if that exists. I wonder if there's a Tron-like video game with a sort of campaign mode, single player to it, with levels and shit. Levels and objectives. Oh yeah, I do want to mention that, like, you can't slide. I know the sliding in the intro cutscene was meant to represent dashing and not actually sliding, but you can't slide. Just thought I'd bring that up. Sliding wouldn't add anything to the game at all, but it would look cool. Oh, and since we're not talking about anything in particular, now seems a good time to mention that Astro Bears had a previous release. This is a sort of remastered version of Astro Bears, and it had a previous iteration. I don't know if that one was also on the Switch, but I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine what the original was like, considering this one doesn't exactly have a lot of features itself. This game gives me the distinct feeling that it's based on a cartoon, even though I'm very aware it is not based on a cartoon. Maybe it is, though, and I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just dead wrong. Maybe these characters are well-loved characters by millions of children, and for some reason I just can't find the cartoon this is based on. It randomly chooses the settings in between matches in competitive mode. But if you play regular party mode, you can choose the settings yourself. I feel like it's just a matter of having the right people together to play this. Like, if you had people together that enjoyed this gameplay concept and the game mechanics, you could probably just play this over and over and over 4 hours, non-stop, right? It's just about having the right people together. Maybe a family with young children or something like that. But This game just isn't for me, I suppose. There's nothing technically wrong with it, or wrong with its design. I wonder if anyone's gotten mad at anyone else over a game of Astro Bears, like people playing Astro Bears together and getting pissed at each other. I want to see that. Like, unironically pissed, not fake pissed. I would be very interested in seeing that happen. And, you know, thinking about it more, I wouldn't be opposed to an Astro Bears cartoon if one doesn't already exist. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that in the morning on the Disney Channel or Nick Jr. or Noggin. Is Noggin still around? It seems more like a Nick Jr. thing than a Disney thing. Nick Jr. is where Backyardigans was, right? It's been so long since I've kept up with any of this stuff. But the important thing is that there should be an Astro Bears cartoon. And the people that made this should probably get on that ASAP. Now, I know making cartoons costs a lot of money, more money than the developers have, I'm sure. But they shouldn't let that stop them. You know, the developers of Cuphead, they were willing to give up their houses to make Cuphead. Please don't do what the developers of Cuphead did. That's dangerous, and you could kill yourself and your families, and many other things I'm probably not even aware of. Be financially responsible. Do you think Astro Bears is anyone's favorite game? I can't just poll you guys because you are not a significant sample size. Like, I can't just ask, is Astro Bears your favorite game? And then get adequate results. You're not an adequate sample size. But do you personally think that Astro Bears is anyone's favorite video game? Granted, from what I understand, Astro Bears sold reasonably well. Oh hey, finite ribbons this time. That means the ribbons will not go on forever, and you can see exactly how awful I am in a new way. I feel like there's probably not a lot of places to talk about Astro Bears on the internet. Probably a lack of Astro Bear discourse available. I don't know if the game was released on Steam, but I'm pretty sure it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive. If it was on Steam, though, you could get plenty of talk about it there, because the discussion boards never die on any video game on Steam. You can go bother people on the Cave Blazers forums and call them bad at video games until they get angry. I'm not saying I have personal experience in doing such a thing, but I might. You see, I totally outplayed my brother there. I hit him good, but because he's playing as Cybear, he took that extra hit and I just got fucked. It's a shame, too, because that was like the only time I even did a remotely smart thing during this game. Also, this isn't urgent or anything, but can someone check right now if I'm real? Like, if I'm actually playing this right now? Can someone check if there's a real game called Astro Bears on the Nintendo Switch that's a Tron-like game? And that it had a previous release called Astro Bears Party? Can someone, like, check if this is real? Alright, so that was competitive mode. You remember how I mentioned I wish there was a single-player mode that was like Snake? That was foreshadowing. I was making a funny. Because there is a single-player mode that's like Snake, and I'm playing it right now with my brother in 2-player, which is bad. Because even though it's supposed to be co-op, you can run into each other and kill yourselves. So it's better in single-player, and I'll make a separate video on this Snake-like game mode in single-player.